Things are gonna get better now. But you're still a drunken slob. Things are gonna get better now. You wish you still lived with mom.
How about that? Like I promised. 2 in one day. As always, thank you for listening to Headbangers and Hooligans. Once again, yours truly, Scum Malicious. And the band of the month, Face to Face. And as I mentioned in the earlier podcast this morning, I can't believe it's taken this long for me to make them band of the month. Very important band as far as my history. Currently, they are a 4-man band. Of course, we have Trevor Keith on vocals and guitar, Scott Shiflett on bass, Danny Thompson on drums, and Dennis Hill on guitar. And that's been the current lineup for about the last 3 or 4 years. When they started out in 1991, they were a 3-piece with Trevor Keith, Rob Kurth on drums, and the amazing Matt Riddle on bass. Yes, that Matt Riddle that played bass on my personal pick as the greatest album ever recorded, Steam Driven Engine by Poley. Yeah. He started in Face to Face, went on to Poley, and of course played with No Use for a Name. He's been posting a lot on Facebook lately. Hopefully he's getting in another band and getting some playing time with some other guys, because he really is amazing bass player. But I am focusing on the first 3 albums for this particular podcast when it comes to Face to Face. Their first 3, Don't Turn Away, their debut, Big Choice, and their self-titled Face to Face. Those first 3 are fucking unbelievable albums, okay? For any person that grew up in the 90s and liked Poley and Strung Out and the Bouncing Souls and Nerve Herder like yours truly, you should be listening to these albums. If you haven't heard them, then there's something fucking wrong with you, okay? Get the fuck out. Get the fuck out of the country. Go to Canada. Okay. I'm just being silly, of course. But seriously, when I listen to these 3, and I do believe that, don't quote me on this, that Don't Turn Away and the self-titled were in my top 20. In fact, I think all 3 were in my top 50. That's how important these albums are to me. The song Disconnected, which was on Don't Turn Away, and that they re-recorded for Big Choice. And I have to say, I do like the newer version of Disconnected. I just kind of like the production a little bit better. Oh my goodness. Did I just destroy my fucking punk rock ethos by using the word production and saying I like the production better? I do. It just sounds better, but I like the original too. It's just a great song. But it's also one of the first songs I learned on guitar. And this goes for that butt fuck that I talked about earlier on YouTube. Yeah, it's a simple song, but you know what? I enjoy playing it, and it sounds good, and it's on YouTube, and people have listened to it on the radio. What the fuck have you wrote? Nothing. Okay? The only thing you wrote is probably a fucking poem to some bitch that broke your heart 20 fucking years ago when you couldn't get fucking laid. Alright, but what happened with Face to Face after their first 3 albums, and I really hate saying this because I think they're a really cool band. They're really cool guys. If you listen to them in their interviews and watch them on YouTube, you could tell they're just like really laid back. Just seem like ordinary guys, you know. They're not rock stars or none of that shit. And I use the word punk rock loosely because yeah, they've got some punk rock, but they're not like the total, like Guttermouth or anything like that. And Trevor Keith, my goodness, and I know I've mentioned this before, aka Doug Gardner, guy I went to high school with, because he looks just like him. But can that guy fucking bring it on vocals or what? Seriously. And I'm not saying he's an 8-octave fucking singer and he doesn't need to be, but the dude's got a great voice. Sounds perfect with the music, and when you hear him live, he sounds good. Check it out. You go on YouTube, and I posted some videos on the Facebook page, and I think he sounds amazing. But they took a little bit of a dip. Okay, they had Ignorance is Bliss, Reactionary, not a bad album. They had Standards and Practices, which is like a covers album. They had an EP somewhere in there. I can't remember the name of it. It's Not Over or something like that, I think's the name of it. Shoot the Moon was decent. 3 Chords and a Half Truth just was not their best album. It's to me, it's their weakest album. What I'm getting at, in 2016, they released Protection with the current lineup that I'd mentioned starting the podcast. They have come back full circle, okay? They were kind of maybe trying to find their way back, and they kind of got back to those punk rock roots. It's not totally punk, but that they just have great melodies. The lyrics, they don't cuss a lot in their songs. They just don't, which is unusual, especially for the bands that I listen to, right? A lot of self-reflection in the lyrics, and a lot of passion. I'm not going to use the word emo because I've seen a few people use the word emo. Never, ever fucking confuse Face to Face with an emo band. Don't ever do that. Because that's a mistake. They're not an emo band. But like when you listen to this music, you're like, wow, Trevor Keith is digging deep on his feelings here. I feel him. And he does it without saying, you know what? I don't give a fuck what you fucking think. I'm going to do what the fuck I want. Right? He doesn't say it like that. And there's nothing wrong with that. But when I heard Protection, actually, it's almost going about 3 years ago, I was like, they are back. They are fucking back because it is like the first 3. And I believe, Don't Turn Away has 13 songs on it. Big Choice, 11 plus a couple bonus tracks, so we'll say 13. And the self-titled had 12. We're talking like, what is that, 38 songs? None of them are bad. You can listen to all 3 of those fucking albums. First song to the last song. There's no skipping. You'll probably hit repeat 4 or 5 fucking times on each song because they're that good. They just don't write albums like that anymore. They really don't. But when I listen to these albums, it just takes me back. When I first heard them, it'll take me back to that place. If I was driving in my car, all twacked out on meth, looking for hookers. That's a joke, by the way. Well, the twacked out part, not looking. Looking for women, not hookers. Jeez. I don't always pay for women, unless I have to. But anyway, when I listen to these songs, it does. It takes me back to a special place when I was discovering all these bands. Don't Turn Away. I'm Not Afraid. Disconnected, like I mentioned. No Authority. Everything is Everything. Do You Care? It ends with 1,000 Times. Just, what a great ending track. And when you listen to that album, like especially when I listen to that album, there's a rawness to it. You can tell the production isn't perfect, but you can tell it's like, man, this is a good band. Like these guys can write some songs, and you can really hear Matt Riddle's bass. It's just a little rough in spots, but that's okay because the songs are fucking amazing. Who cares if the production is great? Then the production gets upgraded on Big Choice. Like I said, I do like the newer version of Disconnected, Late. I love that song. I don't wanna be late. If you knew what I knew, you wouldn't be willing to wait. A-OK. I don't know what you think of me, but it's probably already gone. I think I just fucked the words up on that. It's the second part where he says, I don't care what you think of me, your opinion means nothing at all. Don't say I'm okay. Yeah. Sorry about that. But anyway, It's Not Over, just fantastic song. And then the self-titled, which actually, the more and more I listen to it, might be my favorite of the three. Walk the Walk. Ordinary. Look in the mirror, it's not enough. Makes you think that you're not one of us. Just, I love that song. I Won't Lie Down, Handout. Fucking great song, Complicated. Just, these albums, they are very special albums. To me, they should be to you. And if you haven't listened to them, hey, they're all on YouTube. Give them a try. You'll listen to them, you're like, wow, he's right. It's not like the other bands. He's not saying lick my balls and, hey, let's go get some beer and fucking get laid. It's okay to be a little serious. Yes, I actually listened to a band that has a few serious songs. There's nothing wrong with that. I had someone say that. It's like, all you fucking bands, all they want to do is joke around and have a fucking good time, which Strung Out and Polly aren't like that. The fuck you been listening to? Yeah, but I do listen to a lot of bands that like to have fun, which I say there's nothing wrong with having fun, and there's nothing wrong with having bands that have a little bit of, an edge to them. Yeah, these first three, just incredible albums. Listen to them. Let these songs get embedded in your brain. You'll be a better person for it. Now, the next podcast I do about Face to Face, what I'm going to do is kind of go through the albums that probably aren't my favorite. They're not all terrible, though, okay? There's still some great stuff in some of those albums. And I want to talk about how they came back full circle with Protection. And then they released an acoustic album last year, which was really fucking good, and it surprised the shit out of me. So, there you go. Face to Face, first three, check them out. Band of the Month. Trevor Keith, he fucking brings it, a.k.a. Doug Gardner. All right. You know how I do this. Take it easy. And if it's easy, you sure as hell better take it twice. I'm out.